Lines continue full. Let's go to Ricky in Nebraska, also listening on EWTN. Hey, Ricky, got a question for Tim?
Yes, I do. Hey, thank you for taking my call, guys.
Yes.
Tim, I wanted to say thank you. I emailed Catholic Answers a few months ago about a question on baptism, and you actually responded to that, so I want to say thank you for that.
All right, brother.
I've got a bit of I don't know if it's a bit of a doozy. Maybe you've gotten it before, but I like to study the Ante-Nicene Fathers, and reading First Clement.
Yes, love that letter.
Clement, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Clement, obviously Clement of Rome, who's actually, I believe, referenced in Paul's letter to the Philippians, I believe.
Chapter 4, verse 3, yes.
Yeah. And reading First Clement, and I'm reading Trent Horn's book right now, The Case for Catholicism, talking about the canon, and it made me think of First Clement because some of the church fathers viewed First Clement as inspired. I don't know how much unanimity there is in regards to that, but I wanted to ask you this because I just thought it was quite interesting, and I wanted to get somebody's take on it. But in First Clement chapter 25, he talks about the Phoenix.
Oh yes.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Sure.
Okay, so it sounds like you're familiar with that.
Yes.
What are we to make of Clement's language here in regards to the Phoenix? Because it seems as if he's referring to a real bird.
Right.
So I just wanted to get,
sure.
your opinion on it.
But he's using the Phoenix as a metaphor for Christ.
Exactly, and the resurrection in particular.
Okay.
So, Ricky, here's the key. First of all, my take on that is just if I'm teaching my kids and I say, as Hamlet, we see says, or any other work of fiction, I may say, remember how many times do I say this, kids? And I know they're watching. I'll say, what does Fred Astaire say in Swing Time? Pick yourself up, dust you. Or I'll call him not necessarily Fred Astaire, but by the name of his character. So we often refer to movies, books, and so forth, and the names used, and use them as metaphors for all sorts of things. This is something that is common throughout history, and my take is that's what Clement of Rome is doing. He's using it as a metaphor for the resurrection, and it's an apt metaphor. But now, what if, Ricky, Clement, and there's no real way of knowing from the text because he describes the Phoenix. Well, that's what you do when you talk about fictional literature. You describe it because it's in the description that the metaphor has its power, right? But let's say he actually believed there was such a bird, or even is such a bird as the Phoenix. That would have no bearing whatsoever on his papal authority, or we wouldn't say that's incorrect, right? And let me use an analogy. If an inspired author of sacred scripture believes the earth is flat, right? Or believes, let's use another example. In Genesis chapter 1 and 2, if you read the two creation stories, that believe the earth had a dome over the top of it, and there were waters above the dome, and then windows are opened, and that's how rain comes down.
Yeah.
Right? Does that mean there's error in Scripture? No, this was the common understanding of the time, and the inspired author is not making the assertion that this is true and God says there really is a dome above heaven. He's just speaking in a manner of speaking. This is the way people spoke back then. This was sort of presupposed. I'll use one more analogy to make this clear, Ricky. It's like the weatherman who says sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:30, right? Do we immediately fire this guy? He thinks the sun's going to rise, at 5:30. Right. This guy doesn't know about the fact that, geocentrism went out a long time ago. No, this is just a manner of speaking, and that's the way language works, down through the centuries. So either way you look at it, Ricky, whether you take the fact that I believe he's just referring to a fictional character, or if you believe that somehow he actually believed it, as I'm sure a lot of ancient people really did believe it. Neither is a problem to his magisterial teaching as Pope.
Ricky, we'll leave it there because we got to take a break.